Hey, New Life, it is so good to be here with you for our Advent devotional. My name is Tex. I'm the student ministry director here at New Life, and I'm just so excited to be able to take some time to talk with you about this season. And let me tell you, I think with Advent, there's a lot of like Christmassy words that come to mind, right? Like you got peace and you got hope and joy and all these things that you can think of, right? And I don't know what words you think of when this time comes around, but I have two in particular that kind of go together. Let's hyphenate them for today's purposes. But like these are the words that I think of when I think of Advent: family drama. Can I get an amen, right? Like as Thanksgiving is over and Christmas is here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Where you're like trying to prepare who's coming to Thanksgiving. Is this aunt or this uncle, that crazy person coming? Oh my gosh, this person's going to talk all about the politics. We know you got to avoid this person because you got there's so much. And I've been there, trust me. I've had plenty of Thanksgiving and Christmas meals in which turkey legs and mashed potatoes have been flown across the table, and not for playful reasons, right? I've been across all of it. And no matter how dramatic I think your holiday season is, I think we can look today in some stories in the scriptures and see how good we might have it in comparison to today's family. So I want to open up into the book of Genesis, right? And so in Genesis chapter 37, we're going to introduce you to Israel. And check out this story about where it goes. So in Genesis 37, verses 3 through 4, it reads this. It says, "Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other of his sons, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a robe of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all of his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peacefully to him." Man, I mean, there's already a huge amount of some family drama here, right? We got favoritism, we have family strife and jealousy that we're seeing, and you might be like, man, that's not crazy bad. My dad definitely favors my sister, my princess sister all the time, kind of thing. Whatever the case is. But check out where this story goes. If you keep reading in verses 17, here's what ends up happening. So it says that, as the brothers are having this conversation, they start to plot against him. This is what it says. It says, "The man said, 'They've gone away, for I heard him say, let's go to Dothan.' So Joseph went after his brothers, and he found them at Dothan. And there they saw him from afar. And before he came near to them, they conspired against him to kill him. And they said to one another, 'Here comes the dreamer. Come now, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. Then we'll say that a fierce animal devoured him, and we will see what he becomes of his dreams.' But when Reuben heard it, he rescued him out of their hands, saying, 'Let's not take his life.' And Reuben said to them, 'Shed no blood. Throw him to the pit in the wilderness, but do not lay a hand on him, that he might rescue him out of their hands and restore him to his father.' So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the robe of many colors that he wore, and they took him and they threw him in the pit. And the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And then they sat down to eat. And looking up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead, and their camels bearing gum, balm, and myrrh on their way to carry it down to Egypt. Then Judah said to his brothers, 'What profit is if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites. Let us not put our hand on him, for he is our brother, our own flesh and blood.' And his brothers listened to him." And I don't know about you, like I said, family drama, there's a lot of it this time of year. But I've never had so much family drama. I've never had this kind of extreme favoritism. I've never had this kind of boasting about the one favorite son knowing he's the favorite to where his brothers want to kill him, right? I've had fights with my brother where I'm like, man, I'm going to kill you. But I never really meant it. I meant more like I might beat you up a little bit or something. But all those kind of things, right? To the point of where they not only want to kill him, that they kidnap him, that they put him in a pit, and that they sell him to the Ishmaelites, who are like their second, third cousins, right? Like literally sold him to family who's going to then sell him off as a slave. I've never had that kind of family drama this time of year. And I don't know what you're going through in the holidays, but I think we can all agree, like Joseph, like the holidays can be hard. Life can be really difficult. And sometimes there are some situations that happen that are way beyond out of our control. In Joseph's story, if you continue to read, Joseph gets sold into slavery and taken to Egypt. And there, God starts to put some things into motion. And let me tell you, before we further into Joseph's story, I just want to kind of focus in on you and I. Because at this point, Joseph's story is pretty dark. He's a young boy. He's been sold into slavery by his own family. Everything looks dark. And I don't know about you, but maybe this holiday season's been hard. Maybe you've lost some loved ones. Maybe you've lost a job. Maybe things have just been more challenging. Maybe you've faced with some depression, some anxiety that you've never had before. I know that around this time of year, things can get hard. I can reflect back into my own life. I can think of when I was young, and I remember one of the darkest moments when my mother was diagnosed with cancer, how hard that was for me, how challenging. And I remember so many nights just praying to God, being angry and processing with him, saying, like, why would you do this? Why our family? Why my mom? It was really difficult. Little did I know that God was setting that up to change my life. Because in the midst of that, God was setting me up to start a real relationship with Him that I never had had. I was starting to get to process my mom, who continued to have faith in the midst of difficult, challenging circumstances. And so I want to ask you today, what questions are you asking God? Are you asking the question, why me? Because that's such a me focused question, and I think it's fair at some point, right? Like, it's okay to be upset, it's okay to be hurt, it's okay to be down, it's okay to have feelings and emotions. We don't want to be fake and be like, oh, I'm blessed, everything's wonderful all the time, because that's not real. But what if instead of just asking why me, we changed the question and started asking things like, God, what are you trying to teach me? God, what is it you're trying to do around me? What are you protecting me from? What are you maybe setting me up for? What is it you're wanting to do inside of me? Because as we look into the story, we're seeing that God actually was setting something up for Joseph that was going to make a massive impact into history. We just had no idea. And so for you and I want us to learn, because as we start to look at the bigger picture, when we look at the minute right here, the right now, we totally are going to miss out on what it is that God's actually doing. Maybe it's not even around us, right? Because sometimes our life circumstances, those are just crazy things that are happening. But what is it if God is using those to actually do something inside of you? What if He's trying to teach us something, draw Him closer, or draw us closer to Him, right? Because I believe sometimes it's less about what God is doing around us as opposed to what God is doing inside of us. Because I believe God is constantly trying to work on who we are and our hearts and our character to draw us closer to Him. So no matter where you are this season, start to ask yourself, what is it you're trying to teach me, God? Because Joseph, he remained faithful to God. No matter what would happen, if you go and you read through the rest of the book of Genesis, Joseph remained faithful under crazy things to where God set him up to where he would become the second over all of Egypt, literally like under Pharaoh alone. And God just sets him up for victory after victory, and because he remains faithful to God. And so for you in the midst of these things, have your feelings, have your emotions. What is it that is God is setting up for you? Because not only does He set Joseph up for some amazing things, it's amazing to see that he's going to be what saves his family. Because this drought comes in, and his brothers, unknowing that Joseph is in Egypt, that's where he got sold, that he's going to have to meet him face to face. They come asking for help because of this drought. They have no food. It's a huge famine. And this is what we read about. They realize who Joseph is, and they're scared, they're terrified, because they know he can get revenge. He has all the power, all the control. But in Genesis 50, we read this. The brothers are talking. They say to Joseph, please forgive the transgression of your brothers and their sin, because they did evil to you. And now, please forgive the transgression of the servants of God your father. And Joseph wept. And he spoke to him, because his brothers came and they fell down before him and said, behold, we are your servants. But Joseph said to them, do not fear, for am I in the place of God? As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today. So do not fear. I will provide for you and your little ones. And thus he comforted them, and he spoke kindly to him. And let me tell you, Joseph had every right to say, get away from me, leave me alone, all those kind of things. But he doesn't. He chooses to have forgiveness. He chooses to see what God was doing. And it's amazing because God's going to use not only this moment to make a huge moment in history, but it's through this family in which Jesus is going to come. And so God has been setting some things up. Ask the question, not just why me, but rather ask, what is it you're trying to do in me, God? What is it you're trying to teach me? Guys, we love y'all. We appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.